where to start? I mean, Suresh Kankanwadi ji said that there is so much about Om, we have to start somewhere, isn't it? So that is what Mandukya Upanishad actually saying. Guys, if you want to start to understand about Om, start like this. Om iti etad aksharam. Okay, that is what it's saying. Now, we have done 2 or 3 weeks. I can't remember how many weeks we have spoken about Kshara, Akshara, and Kutasto Akshara. That fits in extremely well here. So we had Kshara Purushas are all the Chaturmukha Brahma, Kutasto Akshara is Lakshmi, whereas the Supra is God or Brahman himself. And we have looked at the various etymologies of Akshara. Please go back to the previous slides to just think about this. We split Akshara into A plus Kshara, Aksha plus Ra, A plus Ksha plus Ra, and understood Akshune, Akshnute, iti Aksharaha, Adhikam, Ksharanti. There are so many ways in which you understand Akshara. So the Akshara in the primary sense here means the Supreme Brahman. Yeah, it means the Supreme God. It means Vishnu. It means Krishna. It means whatever you want to call it, but I would call this as Vishnu because I like that name. Yeah. So Akshara here is Vishnu himself. Yeah. So this Akshara is not just a syllable. Yeah, to say Om iti etad aksharam, this Om is a syllable, is fine, but that is not the deeper philosophy of the word aksharam. Aksharam, to understand aksharam, you should have done chapter 15, which we have just done. So that aksharam is Vishnu himself, and I have given you this very famous picture that we had so many weeks about God, Jiva, Prakriti, and Chetana Prakriti. Okay, so Om iti etad aksharam. So the first thing that, as my mom and Sheila ji said, Om means the supreme being. That is the conclusion. Look at all our Upanishads and scriptures. How do they start? They start Harihi Om. What does that mean? Hari is Om. That is how they start. Harihi Om. And then they start everything. So that is not surprising, because Mandukya has actually categorically said Om iti etad aksharam, and Krishna has declared that Akshara, the supreme Akshara, is me, who is also called Purushottama. Okay, so that is the first point that we need to understand when we start about Om, that we grasp the idea. Om is a name of the Supreme. And as we have done this before, the name of the Supreme is actually his adjectives. They talk about his qualities. They are not his proper nouns. Nobody has given him a name. We just call that so that we can understand certain attributes of the Supreme. So Om gives us an idea of the various attributes of the Supreme. Okay, so what are those attributes? So this is only one slide that I'm going to talk today. Yeah, so Om equals Akshara equals Harihi equals Brahman equals Narayana equals Vishnu. So that is the overwhelming conclusion of Om. Now the word Om, as we have done before, you have to take the etymology of Om. So Om comes from two dhatus. Yeah, Avadhatu and Uyi dhatu. So there are two dhatus in Vedic Sanskrit. So Avadhatu means Avatiti iti Om, Avagatau iti Om. That means Gatau means everywhere. That means omniscient. Okay, look at the English word omniscient. Look at the English word omnipresent. Look at the English word omnipotent. What are the first two letters of those? It's Om. Yeah, people don't catch that idea there. The very first two letters of these English words actually got Om. Why? Because Om means that. Avagatau iti Om. That is why it is omniscient. Avavyaptau iti Om. Omnipresent. Avasamartye iti Om. Omnipotent. Avagame iti Om. Omniscient. Avapraveshe iti Om. He is the indweller, antaryamin of everything. Avarakshe iti Om. He is the protector of everybody. Avavade iti Om. Sarva samharaka. He is the destroyer of everything. Yeah. So that immediately gives you those 7 different attributes of the Supreme, not 7, 6 different attributes of the Supreme. When you take the root Avadhatu, the Ava as the Dhatu there, to understand how did the word Om originate. So that will immediately give you these ideas about omniscience, omnipresent, and omnipotent, which is what Purusha Shukta, the first Varga, talks about, as you know. Yeah, so that Akara. Yeah, it can also come from Uyi Dhatu. Okay, there is a very famous verse in Brahma Sutra Anuvyakhyana called Otatvachihi Omkaro Vyaktyaso Tad Gunotatam. So Otatvachi, so that means Om comes from the root word we, so that becomes Vota. So what does that mean? Means to network or attach to one another. That gives you an idea of all these infinite attributes are in the Supreme. Yeah, in whom all the infinite auspicious attributes are present. That is Om. Yeah. So now, if you look at the first sutra of Brahma Sutra, we have done Om Atato Brahma Jignasa. So there is this Brahma, You do then therefore investigation into Brahman shall begin. And we have seen so many times what is the meaning of Brahman. We said Atakasmad Uchyate Brahmeti Bruhantohi Asmin Gunaha. So Brahman means he who has infinite auspicious attributes, which is the same as Otatvachihi Omkaraha. Okay. So this Om then is also the same as Brahman, which is the same as Purusha, which is the same as Narayana, which is the same as Vishnu. Look at the etymology of Purusha. We looked before about that. We've done this before. There are about 9 different meanings of Purusha. One of this is Purna Shadgunatva, that which has infinite auspicious attributes. Look at the etymology of Narayana. Ara means defects. Ayana means abode. Na means opposite of. So that means he has only positive attributes and no defects. Again, that is the same as Otatvachihi Omkaraha. Vishnu means, it's again we have discussed, it's not a proper noun, it is etymological. Vish means to pervade. Pervade means pervade in time, space, and gunas. So again, that is the same as Otatvachihi Omkaraha. So once we know the compound Akhanda word Om actually denotes the Vishnu, then the other name of Om called Pranava actually then becomes very legible for us. Why is Om also called Pranava? Okay, so Pranava again is Pra plus Nava. Pra means Prakrishta. Prakrishta means Sreshta. Nava means there are 3 meanings at least. One is new. He is always new in the sense that he is changeless. Yeah. 9. What do we do? 9 different forms of bhakti to him. Nava also means 9. Nava also means stuti. Stuti means stotra or something in praise. Okay. Something in praise of this Om, who is Pranava. Na means balam. Yeah, means strength. Vam means jnana. Sreshta jnana and bala. Yeah, who has got the highest levels of strength and highest levels of jnana and ananda, which is the supreme being himself. So when you understand the meaning of Om, then the Pranava, as it is also called, then that becomes sensible, because he is the highest being. He's got high strength and he's in jnanananda. Yeah, and you do 9 forms of bhakti and you worship him. Okay, so that is one reason why we use Om as a Akhanda. Akhanda mantra means as one single word. Now, as Suresh ji mentioned, this Om actually expands into so many other concepts. Everything in the universe, every knowledge in the universe is actually compressed in Om. And that is the reason why it is also called Bija Akshara mantra. Yeah, Bija means seed. If you want to know the tree, you need to know the seed. Yeah, and the seed eventually grows into a tree, and that is how the example is taken. Om compresses all of the Vedic literature, and as it grows it becomes the Veda, this huge tree called the Vedas. How does it grow? AUM Bhubhuvaswaha Padya Pada 1 Pada 2 Pada 3 Varga 1 Varga 2 Varga 3 Padya Gana Padya Gadya Gana and all the sounds, and it becomes this big tree that talks about the Supreme. Okay. So hopefully, the very first word of Mandukya Upanishad is highly significant because it puts that word, so does the Chandogya Upanishad, so that our rishis are actually asking us, don't brush aside Om, just say Om and get on with life. No, try and focus on the Om in deep contemplation. And that is what we should be doing over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And hopefully at the end of it, we will all become munis. Because as Mandukya Upanishad has said, whoever understands the grand vision of Om is actually a muni. Okay, and what the Mandukya does is it expands and various layers of interpretation. Yeah, and even the symbol Om, which has got 3 curves here, and then there is a 4th curve with a dot. that itself has got meaning, and that meaning comes from Mandukya Upanishad. So we will see all that in the next few weeks. So that is something to be continued, and I hope this will be of interest. So I'll stop there, and we can take up any questions or discussions. I'm really happy I finished on time.
HinduKnowledgeAcademy.com will celebrate Vedic culture and present its philosophies to the modern Hindu in an accessible format. Our ancient heritage is our greatest strength. Through preservation and dissemination, together let us spread positivity in the world. Thank you for listening and welcome to Hindu Knowledge Academy.